love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just don't be my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just don't be love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind.
Fantasy Pros Country, let's ride. What's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe P Zabia, and it's the Start Sit live stream. It's week 6 in the NFL, and we're going to help you sort your lineups, make your trades, answer your questions, talk about what's going on in the world of football, maybe give out some free stuff too, because that's how we roll here. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasypros. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And of course, follow Andrew Erickson because he's a fun follow. Andrew Erickson. And then there's an underscore. I don't know what the underscore is for. Maybe someday we'll find out the secret. Andrew Erickson, it's week 6. I know there's a lot of football to get to. Let's start with Kyle Pitts because it looks like Kyle Pitts is trending back in the right direction. A lot of people last week sort of breathed a sigh of relief and said, well, at least I can't guess wrong here if I put Kyle Pitts on my bench because he's not playing this week. Is it back to the Kyle Pitts well for you, or are you have him outside the tight end ones on this bye week?
No, I mean, I got Kyle Pitts back inside my top 10. I believe him at tight end 8. I mean, look, it's one of these things where unless you can have a compelling argument against going for someone else besides Kyle Pitts, then you're going with Kyle Pitts. Like, I'm not rostering 2 tight ends in most formats. So if it's Pitts versus insert waiver wire tight end here, like, my odds are probably the same. So I'm just going to keep the guy I drafted, keep the guy that I know is an uber talent, and bet on that versus just trying to take one of these fringe guys, waste an extra roster spot when the production is probably going to end up being pretty similar at the end of the day.
You're an Uber talent. I just wanted to say it out loud. I'm a big fan. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. We had full participation from Waddle and Hill. That's great. We're going to have a third string quarterback. Not so great, most likely, at least at this point. And then Raheem Mostert popped up on the injury report yesterday afternoon. So what are we doing with the Dolphins here this week? This is a tenuous situation here. We are playing the Minnesota Vikings, the Dolphins this week. So how do you break down the fantasy value of all three of those very key pieces in a lot of fantasy lineups right now?
I mean, you're looking at the Dolphins wide receivers. I think that you need to downgrade them. So I think Tyreek Hill probably falls more in the wide receiver 2 category, and Jalen Waddle probably falls more in the wide receiver 3 category. I mean, receivers are going to be volatile by nature anyway, but now that you're throwing in a third string quarterback into the mix, it's concerning. Like last week, Skylar Thompson basically played the entire game, and Tyreek Hill had 7 targets and 7 catches and finished as the wide receiver 32. And half-point scoring. Waddle basically did nothing. Waddle has done nothing the last 2 games that he has played. Now, is it because of the groin injury? It's just been a lot of different factors after their hot start that I think people are still attaching themselves to by ranking these guys so high and still starting them with so much confidence when it's like, guys, like the week 2, that blow-up game against the Ravens, like that is so far in the past. Like we need to kind of adjust our priors a little bit here with these Dolphins receivers because they have a major downgrade at quarterback. They're running the football more, which is why Raheem Mostert's now popping up as a usable asset because they have a third string quarterback. So they're not dialing up, okay, let's throw the ball, let's be aggressive downfield. No, like let's play conservative because if we don't, we're going to lose this game because we have a 7th round rookie operating as our QB1. So that kind of buys into Raheem Mostert as a legitimate play this week, health permitting. I'd like to see him log in a full-time practice, but I think that the move here you can make before we really know about the injury status is make sure you add Myles Gaskin off the waiver wire. We saw Myles Gaskin play ahead of Chase Edmonds last week. No idea what was up with Chase Edmonds. He's been very inefficient this year, just not really seeming to click with this new offensive system. I know they paid him, but look, he's not the guy that they like. They like Raheem Mostert, and it seems like they like Myles Gaskin a little bit too. So I would try to stash Myles Gaskin and be wary of, if Raheem Mostert were to get ruled out, don't automatically just jam in Chase Edmonds thing and say, oh, baby, Chase Edmonds week. That may be a little too aggressive.
All right, fair enough. One more thing too. James Conner did not practice again. He's been dealing with that injury. I know Eno Benjamin was a very popular waiver wire pickup this week. I just said on the podcast we just recorded for the start sit this week in week 6 that even if Conner were a go, I wouldn't be starting him this week. So how do you feel about Conner? How do you feel about Eno? How do you feel about the Cards?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about James Conner. Just he's been a volume-dependent running back, and when he's dealing with injuries, he just doesn't get the same amount of volume that we're used to him getting. That's just kind of it's the double-edged sword of being a volume running back. Is you take more volume, yes, it's good for fantasy, but you also take more hits, and it's less likely that you last for the remainder of the season, which has already been a problem with Conner, who's been banged up, multiple times already this season. And the fact that the Cardinals have been signing a bunch of other running backs. Darrell Williams has already been ruled out of this game. I think it's kind of a telltale sign that, James Conner's probably not going to suit up. So I would not try to wait around for him for Sunday. Make sure you have a plan. And that plan is Eno Benjamin. So I'm excited about Eno Benjamin. We talked about the Seahawks. Horrible run defense against running backs, one of the worst in the NFL. And Eno Benjamin's been productive this year. He's a top 10 graded running back by PFF so far this season. He's got a little bit of Chase Edmonds to his game, except his coaching staff doesn't seem to actually hate him. So he's going to actually get up on the field and get snaps and opportunities, and he's involved in the passing game. So those are all big in terms of half point and PPR scoring. So I feel good about Eno Benjamin. I guess I propose a question for you. Would you want to start Eno Benjamin over either of the Dolphins wide receivers if you picked up Benjamin off the waiver wire this week?
That is tough. When you have draft capital and people like that, I can only hope that with a little bit more time and practice with those guys this week and the fact that they were full participants at practice yesterday, I would still start the wide receivers, but I understand the argument for Eno. I just have a tough time getting there. Again, if I'm putting 2nd round draft capital, 3rd round draft capital on a player, I'm going to play that player for better or worse most of the weeks, unless it's a really dire injury situation. 3rd string quarterback ain't pretty. I get it. But at the same time, I mean, look what Bailey Zappi's done for the value of Jacoby Myers. Who would have thought that would have been a thing? Sometimes we get this with some of these players. So I think I would still run that out there. Now, if you've got questions, we hopefully have answers for you here at Fantasy Pros. If you want to ask a question here in the chat, my goodness, go do it. But you can't do it unless you're a subscriber to Fantasy Pros. So subscribe now so you can drop that comment, that question into the chat. And when you do, guess what? You become entered to win a Stephon Diggs autographed jersey thanks to our good friends at pristineauction.com. The Buffalo Bills' own wide receiver one. Look at that gorgeous jersey. So nice there. So the red one, it's sexy. It's good. Go get that. It's autographed. And Pristine Auction is just the coolest place to get any of your memorabilia, your cool swag that you want there. And look, this can be free. All you have to do, again, subscribe, drop a question, comment, like the stream. That'd be nice too. And turn on that bell for notifications so you know if you're the big winner and every time a piece of content drops here at Fantasy Pros. So, speaking of questions, let's get to Jake Gorton's question. Devonta Smith, Mike Williams, or Mike Pittman this week? So, between two Mikes or Devonta Smith, I'm kind of upset we can only start one of these guys. I don't understand. I want all three of these guys in my lineup here. Erickson, how about you?
Yeah, I know this is an embarrassment of riches that Jake has on his hands here. I think I'm going to probably go with Mike Williams. I just kind of want to stay in the flames with him. He's my highest ranked guy. I know that the matchup is going to be tough this week against Patrick Surtain, who's going to be, I mean, we're going to be talking about this guy as like the next Darrelle Revis. I'm convinced he's just a lockdown cornerback. So I'm hoping that Keenan Allen does return so that we don't get a shadow coverage scenario where Surtain is just all over Mike Williams, because I think that's a matchup that Surtain can win against a big body receiver like Mike Williams. But for right now, I'm still going to roll with Mike.
I would agree. Mike Williams for me. Let's go to Ben S. New England or Jacksonville defense? I love what the New England defense is doing. They're playing against Jacoby Brissett. Look, Jacksonville's D has been very solid this year. I don't have a problem with either of these two Ds. If I had to pick one this week, I'd go check my rankings to see where I have them because they are very close, I believe. Erickson, while I'm looking at that, what do you have a certain feeling or gut instinct about these two?
Yeah, it's definitely close for me. I picked up the New England defense last week in a league, and that obviously worked out very well in my favor with the shutout. But Jacksonville's just been made a lot of opportunities with their with turnovers. Like they've been they've been forcing turnovers, wreaking havoc. The Colts offensive line is not great. I guess the only thing with the Patriots defense is if the Browns like to run the football, and if they run the ball effectively, which I mean they've literally done it against every single team they've played this year, I think there might be less opportunities for the Patriots to create turnovers, get sacks. I don't think the Browns are going to try to have Jacoby Brissett, win the game with his arm, even if Belichick, tries for that game scenario to happen. Whereas Jacksonville, I mean, they could just straight up beat the Colts, and we've seen Matt Ryan, crumble at multiple times. I mean, essentially every single week behind a declining offensive line. So I think it's close, but I think I'm going to go with Jacksonville here.
Yeah, I'm going with Jacksonville too. I have them at 10 and 11 in my rank, so right next to each other. But yeah, I think for me, it's that same thing. I just by a hair go with Jacksonville. Their performances so far against the Colts have just been so good. So I'm just going to keep rolling with that. Connor Brennan, especially, by the way, if Jonathan Taylor is out for that game, even more so the Jacksonville side. Connor Brennan, only on a 3-game losing streak, need a spark. Pick one wide receiver and one flex, please. Alec Pierce, James Robinson, that is, and Juju Smith-Schuster, Randall Cobb. I don't really want to talk about him. I think Pierce is one of those guys for sure, right? We just had some nice things to say about him. So Pierce is in. Juju or James Robinson? Who are you going to have?
I think I'm going to still probably go with James Robinson. I mean, he's still going to see touches. He still has touchdown equity in an offense that we think can. It's a tough matchup, but we talked about Juju on the podcast that we recorded. It's just like, what's the point of like rolling him out? Like he gets 8 targets, does nothing with them, and then you move on. Where Robinson has at least some touchdown upside, I think, more so than Juju does. So I think that definitely Pierce. I think Pierce is like when he says spark, like Pierce was the first guy that was like, oh yeah, like he's the spark plug that you need. Whereas the other 3 guys are kind of like but James Robinson is the least of the s.
So would you pronounce if it was a capital Z with 2 lowercase e's and a K, but the K is uppercase? Is it ZK or is it Zeke? What do you think, Erickson?
I think it's ZK. Yeah.
I think it's ZK also. Yeah. I think capitalization matters. Punctuation matters. CMC, Hall, Pierce, Stevenson, half PPR, rest of season. I guess how are we going to rank these guys? I assume you're still going to put CMC first, correct?
Yeah. I would probably put him first. Then I would go Hall. Pierce and Stevenson is tough for me because I'm trying to incorporate, Damian Harris coming back, but then I also think that, I think Stevenson could play so well that it doesn't matter like what Damian Harris does when he comes back. Right. Like Stevenson's going to be the
Pierce
guy.
Has been breaking tackles though.
And that's
Pierce
the other thing too. It's like
good deep numbers.
Pierce is also like I mean, he's already the guy. So I guess like by default, I think I have to just go slightly over Pierce just because I know that there's no threat to his workload like at
Mhm.
all in that backfield. Whereas, Damian Harris will come back eventually. And as good as Stevenson plays, there is always a chance that Belichick like wants to do more of a two-man committee, and Harris is a good running back too. It's not like he's just some schlub. He's not Rex Burkhead, basically, the way to put it. So I guess I'd probably just rank it in the order that they have it listed here.
Schlub, by the way, Chris, is what he said. Schlub. So don't go dumping out of the broadcast here. All right, let's go to Omar Medina, Kenneth Walker, or Montgomery in the flex. It's Ken Walker for me. I'm not looking back. This is easy for me.
Yeah, agreed. Ken Walker.
All right. 406 is back again. What's up, 40? Washington or Dallas defense this week? I know Washington's playing the Bears. I know Dallas is playing the Eagles. Tougher theoretically, but man, that Dallas D is tough to sit, man. I think I'm still rolling Dallas out there. How about you?
Yeah, I think that Dallas's defense is just too good. I mean, they're exactly the defense you want. They create pressure, they get sacks, and a lot of defensive scoring is not about like giving up points. It's
No,
about
it's about
turnovers.
turnovers
So
and
even if
sacks.
Dallas
That's what you're
gives
looking
up,
for.
24, 30 points to the Eagles, I mean, if Hertz is throwing the ball, it's a competitive game. He'll get sacked, he'll throw interceptions. Like he makes mistakes sometimes, especially against a good defense. So I mean, if it's a bad defense versus a good defense, I know maybe the matchup's a little bit better for Washington against Justin Fields. Still, that run-heavy approach doesn't necessarily indicate, they're going to get a bunch of sacks. Well, it's hard to get sacks when the other team only drops back to throw 15 times. It's just hard to do. So
That's
I'll go
fair.
with Dallas here.
By the way, they've only had 5 as their high watermark, the Washington defense all year. Okay, the Dallas lowest has been 5. So just for perspective there. And that was against Tampa in that first week of the season. They've had 5, 7, 10, 10, 23. They've been a DST 1 the last 3 weeks in a row. Now, granted, they did play the Rams, Washington, and New York, but still, I would go rolling out there with those big old Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to Geo Stir, James Conner for Pittman straight up. Well, if I'm getting Pittman, I'm fine with that. I don't know if you could pull that off. How about you, Erickson? Would you be good with that trade?
Yeah, I want the Pittmans. I want out of James Conner. Like,
Yeah,
you want to get out of
100%.
these running backs that are starting to break down here in week 6.
Mhm.
Like, get out.
New Future Apparel, trade Ertz for Cooks.
No, I don't want to trade for Brandin Cooks right now. He's on a bye week, and I mean, he's been outproduced by Nico Collins since week 2. So I'd rather just keep Ertz. He's a tight end that's actually producing. Like, that's a hot commodity. And I know Hopkins is coming back, and someone's going to suffer. I'll just wait and see. Like, and I'm just going to keep Ertz. Like, Cooks doesn't move the needle enough for me to trade a legitimate like fantasy starting tight end.
How about David Gallagher, Geno Smith, or Justin Herbert? Oh, man. Look, I know Geno's been great, but I mean, I just can't do this. Maybe I'm wrong. Erickson, am I wrong?
No, I think I'm going to still go with Justin Herbert here. I'm going to keep him in there.
I mean, look, Geno's been a good story, and it's a good matchup. I get it. Like he's viable this week. You know what you should do? You should look for the person who has Jared Goff on a bye this week. You should look for the person who's got Russell Wilson. You should look for the person who's got Matthew Stafford and say, here's Geno Smith in this glorious matchup. Because if you're not going to play him over Herbert this week, when are you going to ever play him except the bye? Maybe Geno has more trade value to somebody else. Go trade Geno Smith in a single QB league right now to somebody hurting at QB or on buys, who's struggling to find somebody they like. Give them Geno Smith, take something back, take a wide receiver back, and just play Herbert the rest of the year so you don't have this problem, and stream somebody for that 1 week where the Chargers are out. Kyle Clark, I have Miles Sanders, Rhamondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, and Eno Benjamin. Do I play Eno over Najee? I never thought I'd be asking this question. Well, Kyle Clark, I can understand, and I don't think it's a crazy question, and I think the answer might surprise you. Andrew Erickson, Eno, or Najee this week?
Yes, Eno Benjamin over Najee Harris.
You and
this
this
week for
ES
me.
thing. You love
Dude,
this. I can't get this on
we
a
talked
shirt.
about it in week 1, and I thought he was going to be a factor then. That didn't happen, but he's going to be a factor here in week 6. So I think that, look, with Najee Harris, I don't think that he's healthy. I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing
Something's wrong.
So I don't think you can anchor yourselves to when you took him in the first round. Don't view him through that lens. Like, he is a RB2 on a bad offense that he's not seeing volume in bad matchups. Like, it's just not good. So told him to sit you should have sat him last week, and there's no reason you should play him this week. It's Tampa Bay. Like, I'm playing anyone that I can have a excited about. I'm going to play over Najee Harris.
Najee Harris, just for perspective, take the name away. He is RB 29 in half PPR this year. So think of him as RB 29 or Eno Benjamin. It's a much closer conversation. So Andrew's telling you, let go of the name a little bit. So only got 2 touchdowns on the year. Just want to point that out. Just 2 touchdowns on the season for Najee Harris. Now, I like touchdowns. Erickson, you like touchdowns? You a fan of the touchdowns?
Very much
I like
so.
Chris loves touchdowns. Chris goes crazy. Every time there's a touchdown, Chris gets so excited. And if you like touchdowns too, I've got a contest for you. It's over on our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. We have the touchdown call game. You call touchdowns. If you're right, you win free stuff. Look at that. Who's number one? Is that Hertis or Herty 24K or Hertis? I can't see it. I have very old eyes and the picture's very, very small on my end. So congratulations, Hertis. You are number one right now. Look, more Stephon Diggs jerseys. We've got a whole pack of Stephon Diggs jerseys. We're just giving away Stephon Diggs jerseys like Oprah gave away cars. You get a Diggs and you get a Diggs. Everybody gets a Diggs. So go join the touchdown contest. If you're going to say, well, it's already started, I can never make it up. No, you can. Here's what you do. All you have to do is go join our Discord. It's premium products. Go to fantasypros.com/offers. Go join one of those partner sites there. Make a deposit. Go premium. Join the touchdown contest. And guess what? The winner every single week gets money in our shop at Fantasy Pros. So at least you can win a hat, a t-shirt, something else. Have some fun. Maybe you got some 1-4 teams, some 0-5 teams, but you still love football and you want a little action. Touchdown calls. Touchdown call channel. Stephon Diggs jersey. How come everyone gets a Diggs jersey but me? I want a Diggs jersey. What do I have to do for a Diggs jersey? All right, let's get to this next question. Jennifer Hafner is always here. Jennifer is our best watcher on YouTube. We need to make sure she gets a Diggs jersey. We got to figure out a way to get her something. Hey guys, struggling at the tight end. Do I drop Conklin for Disley? Thanks. Love listening to your advice every week. Jennifer, we love having you here on the show. Look, we were just talking about Conklin. I mean, he has fallen from the face of the earth along with the arrival of Zach Wilson. No surprise for me. Surprise and chagrin for many others. I have no problem with playing for the touchdown with Disley. Do you, Andrew?
Nope. It's a great matchup. Either one of Noah Fant or Will Disley is going to be productive against the Cardinals. I'm willing to roll the dice though, because Conklin has another tight end that he's dealing with, and it's just the situation is much worse for him with Uzoma getting more involved. So yeah, I got no problem with Disley or Noah Fant. Rolling the dice on them in a great matchup. It's just a better environment for scoring that Seahawks Cardinals game. So I think that this is the right move.
Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers should go trade for Tyler Conklin. He would be a perfect fit for them.
I mean, Cade Auden played pretty well. The rookie, he played
Cade
pretty well last off. Pretty well. I mean, he actually caught the passes that Brady threw. Unlike
I know, but I'm just saying, like Tyler Conklin's being wasted. He was wasted in Minnesota last year. He played well with limited opportunities. You saw it again in small sample size with the Jets. I want to get this guy somewhere else, please. Somewhere where they value Tyler Conklin. Eric B. Dobbins, Eno Benjamin, Robinson, sit one in the full PPR.
In the full PPR.
Robinson's got such a good matchup this week too against Chicago. I know it's a short week. I guess you sit Robinson, right?
Well, is it Brian Robinson or is it James Robinson?
Well, let's pretend it's Brian Robinson, and then let's pretend it's James Robinson, and then we can pretend it's Smokey Robinson after that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I like Brian. I guess I definitely want to start Eno. And I think Dobbins would probably, I guess I'd probably sit Brian Rob. I guess I'd probably sit both Robinsons. Either
Did
way.
I just break Andrew Erickson? I think I broke him. Are you okay?
You might have.
Too many starts, too many sits. Can't compute. So you're playing Eno and Dobbins over any Robinson? Is that what's happening?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's kind of the way I view it.
All right, very good. Let's go to Jonathan Lutz. Jacoby Myers or Curtis Samuel in the full PPR?
I'm going Curtis Samuel.
Wow. All right. I thought you might get a Jacoby Myers. All right. I would go Jacoby Myers. Just take the points. Joe 96, trade Aaron Jones for Kirk Cousins. Why? Why would you do that? That makes no sense to me. I need the context, Joe. I don't get it. I mean, why would you trade a running back for a quarterback in a single quarterback league? No matter how bad your quarterbacks are, that trade value seems off to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to trade if I'm trading Aaron Jones, I want like Josh Allen. Like if I'm going to get a quarterback,
well, I don't think you're going to get that either. Would you get Kyler Murray? Maybe
it'd have to be an elite quarterback.
Yeah, it'd have to be Murray. I mean, would Burrow do it?
No. I mean, it would have to be like Lamar, Hertz, like one of those guys. Like,
I
not
think Kyler's the only guy that matches out. Kyler or Herbert. Those are the two guys I think are in that range. Robert Lavelle, Cooper Rush, or Justin Fields. Have at it, Erickson.
I kind of like Justin Fields this week. I'm going with Justin Fields. I've liked what I've seen out of the last couple of weeks with him. They're throwing the ball a
Yeah,
little
you're a
bit
big
more.
fan of the 20 throws. You like the 20?
I mean, he had a 50-yard touchdown run last week that got pulled off the board. Like he was QB 13 last week because
Well, usually when there's holding, that's how you get the 50-yard touchdown
right.
run. Just,
Yeah, but he still finished as QB 13 even when they took that off the board. So I think Justin Fields is going to surprise people tonight.
QB 13, by the way. He was even better than you gave him credit for. So, all right, let's go to man. Are you going to be watching all 4 quarters of that game tonight, by the way?
It depends on how my DFS lineups go. It'll probably be usually if I'm really engaged in it, of like, oh, like this lineup's actually doing decent. Like, oh no, like this is going horrible. Justin Fields captain spot. What was I thinking?
I can assuredly know that when my daughters are going to want to watch Survivor at 8:00, where we DVR it the night before. So, and maybe after Survivor, we'll end up flipping that on and see what goes on there. Jesse, is it wrong to bench AJ Dillon and start Brian Robinson just so I have a reason to watch tonight's game? I don't think that's the reason to do it.
Yeah.
If this wasn't a Thursday game and this was just Sunday and Brian Robinson had more time, I would say, ooh, I'm really excited about starting Robinson because the Bears are terrible against the run all year. It's them. It's the Houston Texans. I mean, those are some of the worst teams in the league, the Chargers. I struggle with the 4 days issue with Robinson because he hasn't played a lot. That's my only issue. And I know Dillon hasn't done anything. Dillon is the safer play theoretically, but you shouldn't be doing it just because you want to watch the guy play. You should be doing it because it's a good fantasy football move. Would it be, in your opinion, a good fantasy football move to make that pivot?
I don't think. I mean, Dillon is playing the New York Jets. Like, I really think that doesn't need to be. And the fact that they didn't use Dillon at all last week, we see this with coaches and they're like, oh, like, he didn't get the touches. Like, that makes no sense. Like, we need to get him more touches. I think AJ Dillon bounces back this week. It's a good matchup for him. And to hit on the reason to watch tonight's game, I famously once started Terrell Pryor because I wanted to watch him play in a Thursday night game as a member of the Cleveland Browns. It did not work out well. I actually stopped watching the game because of how upset I was. So, do never start a player because you just want to watch the game. It's not good process.
Wow, that was a scared straight kind of story right now. Terrell Pryor. Hey. That was, stay in school, kids. Let's go to Colin Miller. Pitts or Taysom Hill this week?
Oh, man. Yeah,
you don't want to hear my answer.
These are tough questions.
I'm playing Taysom Hill. I don't care. Pitts has got to show it, and I don't know against the 49ers if this is the week where it happens. I really don't. Taysom Hill is a viable option this week. I have Taysom Hill over Pitts in my rankings this week. I'm starting Taysom Hill. If it busts out, it busts out, and if Pitts is good, okay, finally, then maybe I feel better going forward about Pitts.
Yeah, no, I think that I think I agree with you. I think I'm gonna go with Taysom. Just usually when you just stay in the flames with guys, you ride them until it fizzles out.
So on the show today, you were gonna go with Irv Smith over Taysom Hill. So, but you would go. So you have. Let me just get this rankings: Irv Smith, Taysom Hill, Pitts. That's your ranking this week of those guys.
I think that's what's going to finalize on. I mean, like Taysom Hill, I feel like I can't rank Taysom Hill because it's all about context. Because it's not like he's actually going to be like, oh, he's the tight end 10. It's either he's tight end 1 or tight end 70. Like, so like,
isn't that kind of Kyle Pitts though?
I guess it just. I think it really depends on like what you need. Like, I mean, I think Pitts has a safer floor. Taysom Hill could get 0 points.
I know. All right. Let's go to Jaden Butler, Raheem or Deontay in the PPR.
I'm going with Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, as long as he's healthy. Rick Aldana, Waddle or Pickens? I'm still starting Waddle, and I love Pickens, but I'm still starting Waddle.
Yeah, I'll probably go with Waddle here too.
Derek Smith, PPR, Gabe Davis or Christian Kirk? This is a tough one.
Dude, I'm not benching Gabe Davis against the Chiefs. Like, I'm just sorry. This is like
that's
it's
how
one
I
of those
feel,
things
too.
where it's like, got to draw a line somewhere, and it's like, dude, no, there's no way.
Right. Pitbull, obviously a huge fan of the show here. Pitbull,
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, uno, dos, tres, cuatro questions. He's actually got uno question. Start Geno over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I can do.
Yeah.
Over Herbert, not so much.
All right, so you finally moved off Aaron Rodgers. Glad to hear it.
Moved off Aaron Rodgers. No.
Okay, well, there was a lot of time you were defending him. You're like, oh, you got to start Rodgers.
Over who? Who was that conversation about?
I mean, I think it was about like Mariota, something like that.
Yes, correct. That's who it was about. Brady and Rodgers or Mariota, rest of season was that conversation. I wasn't having that. Wasn't hearing that noise. I'm not a prisoner of the moment. By the way, Pitbull was one of the costumes for Halloween this year for Fantasy Pros, I was considering being Pitbull because I thought I could pull that off. Get a scarf, I got the shades, the whole thing. But maybe next year we'll see. We do have a good costume coming in. Are you dressing up for Halloween? Did you land on a costume yet?
I have a couple of components to a costume that I could finagle something.
Well, since I'm going to be Dr. Evil this year, I think you should be number 2. I think you would be an excellent number 2. Just wear the eye patch, the whole thing. I mean, that's an easy one, right? You could pull that off.
Maybe.
Chris seems to like it. All right. Brendan Tully, do I trade Rhamondre Stevenson and Christian Kirk for Ekeler? Oh, man. Eckler's been on fire the last 2 weeks here, Erickson. And Stevenson, we know at some point in the next 2 to 3 weeks, Harris comes back. I don't know, man. If I'm desperate for...
But Eckler's not going to keep up this pace, though. Especially
True.
With his workload. I mean, he's obviously been it's not like he's going to fall off a cliff, but I mean, Rhamondre and Ekeler are probably going to be pretty similar until Damien Harris comes back.
This is a trade you make when you're 4-1 or 5-0. Because you're just taking the better player and you're saying, look, I'm going to be a playoff team and I want Ekeler in the playoff. I want Ekeler when I get to that December football. That is this trade for me. That's how I decide. If you're a 2-3 team or whatever, I want the bodies.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Because buys are coming. If you're 5-0, you're already on easy street and you can afford to lose a week or two. Kyle Clark, Cam Akers, or Mooney. Bye weeks and injuries have me in a bad place. Well, do we have an option here? Is it Akers or Mooney for you?
I think the format doesn't matter because Mooney's not going to catch that many passes anyway. So I'm going to go with Cam Akers here. I know he's looked horrible, but for some reason, Sean McVay is in love with Cam Akers, and he's going to give him the ball pretty much no matter what. He doesn't want to give the ball to Darrell Henderson, and they should be able to beat the Panthers.
Darrell Henderson. So, I'd play Mooney because I've had it with the Rams, but that's just me. Manuel Gonzalez, drop Garrett Wilson for George Pickens. I approve this message.
Yeah. I mean, George Pickens is on the uptick and Garrett Wilson is going in the wrong direction. So, yeah.
2-4-2. And make sure your teams are all going in the right direction with My Playbook. My Playbook is a suite full of the most powerful tools you'll ever find on the internet to help you make better decisions, manage your rosters, and win your leagues. Go to fantasypros.com/myplaybook today. Sync your leagues for free. Check out some of our cool free features. And, of course, upgrade to premium because when you do, you get autopilot, you get the waiver assistant, you get the trade analyzer, you get all these amazing tools to help you manage your teams. Maybe you thought, I'm really smart, everything's going well. Maybe it's not gone so well. We're here to help you. So download the My Playbook app. It is amazing. You get customized notes for your teams, so you know exactly what's happening for your players. You get the updates right when they're going on. It's available on the Apple and Android stores. Go check out My Playbook again. That's at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. All right, let's get to more questions here. If you've got questions, we've got answers. Drop them in the chat. Subscribe before you do and like the stream. Don't forget to like the stream. I like the stream. You like the stream. Like the stream. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Nick DeQuick, Mike Boone or Brian Robinson, full PPR.
I like Brian Robinson. I think he's going to score. I think he's going to score tonight. I think
this is my threshold. Yeah, I do too. I get that feeling. I got Brian Robinson. I want to call him Mike Robinson. Brian Robinson touchdown here in this game. Speaking of quick, do you like regular quick or strawberry quick, Erickson?
Regular.
Yeah, regular. I don't know. The strawberry quick people weird me out. I don't know what that's all about. Pretty aight, full PPR. Need flex Pittman, CEH, or Ken Walker?
Ken Walker for me. I don't think it's close.
Walker it is. Brian Harris, Breece Hall, or Miles Sanders at the flex this week?
Breece Hall is not coming out of my lineup ever. So okay. I'm starting Breece Hall.
Dre West, Brian Robinson, or Najee Harris? Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
I think I'm probably gonna start Najee.
Sounded like an animal died in your house somewhere. What's going on there?
Well, you know what? No, I'm gonna start Brian Robinson. He's gonna score tonight. I'm gonna feel great that I started him and not Najee. So I'm going Robinson.
Okay, let's go to Marco de Blasio. Need 2. Keep my first place spot in my 14-team league. Well done, Mr. de Blasio. Sit 1, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Mike Williams, Rondale Moore. I think DJ Moore is the odd man out, don't you?
Yes. I think that's probably the right move.
Wasn't very resounding.
I think it's pretty close.
Kirk is in, Williams is in. It's between the 2 Moores. Which Moore gives you more? And which gives you less?
More. I guess my argument for DJ Moore would be he's been horrible. But you look the last 2 weeks, he's been wide receiver 36, wide receiver 36. He's been a wide receiver 3, and he has a good matchup.
Well, now he's got PJ Walker too. Does that matter for you?
I mean, it's not a downgrade because he literally had the worst quarterback play he's ever seen his entire life. So it's net neutral.
He played with Kyle Allen.
It's a lateral move. So the quarterback play doesn't really make a difference to me, but the matchup is the best. Like the Rams give up more completions than any other team. So I think I like DJ more actually.
All right. Very good. Let's go to Sweet Dreams. I have 3 quarterbacks, Wilson, Dak, and Burrow. Who should I drop? Well, Wilson. I mean, that's easy.
You got to drop who people don't want to pick up, and that's Wilson. So yeah.
Well, trade him. Kick the tires. It's bye weeks. Somebody might need a quarterback. Somebody might think, I'm going to buy low. It's going to be fine. Try it. Put him on the block. Take what you can get. Who knows? Maybe you get something useful for next week.
Miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. It's a good advice there. I mean, I would take Rondale more in this situation for Wilson. If I have 2 quarterbacks I feel good about, I would take, some lower end wide receiver that, maybe I can plug him in one of these weeks coming up. Like you gotta do something like that. I mean, Jacoby Myers, I wonder if you could even pluck him away. Let's get to Timothy Johnson. What do you think I could get for AJ Dillon trade wise? Well, you're trading low, so I can't imagine a whole lot. Maybe you can get a Rashad Bateman on the cheap because he's been hurt the last few weeks. I don't know if you can get Travis Etienne. Maybe. Anybody pop to mind where you think you might be able to sneak him away for AJ Dillon?
Not really running backs. I mean, maybe like a Devin Singletary type of player because he's coming off a bad week, but that's because it was game flow, like that they didn't use him. But I mean, he's got a good matchup this week against the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs.
Could you get Olave? Could you buy Olave right now?
I would, I would try. I don't know if you can. I mean, but people might.
This is the time where you might be able to because of the concussion.
What about Hopkins?
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's one I would take. So there you go. So you look at us helping Timothy out. Brad C, Aiyuk, Mooney, or Duvernay as my flex in the PPR.
I'm going Duvernay.
I agree. It was my dude last week.
Without Bateman, I mean he's productive and he's been good.
Yeah, he's fine. He's got a great name, Devin Duvernay. It's very Downton Abbey. Hey, have you met Earl Devin Duvernay? He's a fantastic chap. He's just lovely. You'll love it. You speak to him for hours and hours. Patrick Balcorn. Was it Balcom? Balcom. Start CEH or Eno Benjamin in the PPR. Maybe I need glasses. I'm getting old. I don't know what's going on.
I think for here, I'm still going to go with CEH.
Yes, too many points potentially in that game to let go. Joe Fragnito, J.K. Dobbins? Question mark. I don't know what that means. Is he offering me J.K. Dobbins? Like, J.K. Dobbins for you, sir, and for you, Chris. What would you like today? J.K. Dobbins look, I think it's a good matchup. We talked about this. This should be a matchup where they don't have to do too much. So you would think, run the football, be simple, beat the Giants. Yes?
Yeah, but is it a catch-22 where it's like, because they don't have to do a lot, they don't want to waste J.K. Dobbins in a matchup that they don't need him in?
I think J.K. Dobbins needs the reps. Like, he hasn't played a lot of football. I think he needs some reps.
But the clear case is like there are question marks about Dobbins because the way they've been using him is just weird. Because they're like, oh, like no Justice Hill, right? Let's activate Kenyon Drake and then use him more. Like what? Like why are we doing this? So I think that he's a back end RB2. That answers the J.K. Dobbins question.
Hey Erickson, J.K. Dobbins.
RB2.
Pittsburgh sports fan. Who can I trade Mike Williams for? All right. I love these vague, random questions. You could trade Mike Williams for probably a running back of, let's say, the Josh Jacobs ilk. Maybe you can get a Dameon Pierce. I think that's the kind of running back I'd be looking. Maybe you could get Breece Hall. Those are the RBs there. The wide receivers, looking at if you're trying to just swap out for Mike Williams, which, again, I don't know why you're trying to do that. Mike Williams still is very good. You're going to need Chris Olave plus. You're going to need Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe? You could buy low on him right now, perhaps. Erickson, any names for a trade of Mike Williams that pop for you?
Yeah, I like the Amon-Ra St. Brown call. I think that makes sense.
Better floor player, every week you get that floor points back in there.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Williams. It's one of these things where he's been really consistent lately, and we know that this probably won't last. Like he's gonna have his usual dud game that just is kind of his MO. especially with Keenan Allen coming back. We just know he's going to have a game where he disappears. I mean, maybe if you can get up to like a CD, like I don't, when I have good players, I don't want to break him off into two like sub players. I want to trade Mike Williams plus to get like Jamar Chase. Like that's what I want to do with, because Mike Williams is good. Like if I can't get rid of him, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm stuck with Mike Williams. Like,
yeah, I'm not
that's
looking to
fine.
unload him. I want value. I
want to
want
improve.
strong value.
So
Yeah.
I would try to get Chase, like try to add something with Mike Williams. Mike Williams has more points than Chase this year, so you figure maybe you can use that. Yeah.
Andrews, like you can move the scale down, get two players lower, or you can add a player with Williams, move the scale up, get somebody bigger. There you go. Sticky, would you trade Deontay Johnson and Gibson for Mostert and Etienne? I might do that just to get Etienne, especially in the PPR.
Yeah, and if you can get Mostert, you can use him till he gets hurt. So yeah,
like, what time is it? Okay. Ron M, dropping one. Who's worth keeping? Brandin Cooks or Lazard? Oh, I mean,
I'm keeping Lazard.
I'm keeping Lazard, but Cooks has got to have some value to somebody.
I mean, if are you as you guys put it on the show, unloading the clip,
emptying the
clip on
on
Brandin Cooks if he's on the waiver wire? Probably not. So
no, I'm not emptying it, but again, I think he's on a bye this week, so he's not worth much to anybody now. But somebody's been dealing with Rashad Bateman, somebody's been dealing with some injuries to some guys. Somebody, the Keenan Allen manager right now.
Cooks first, yeah.
Trade Cooks, don't just drop him. Do something. 4 front productions, Curtis Samuel or Rondale Moore this week. This is Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel for me.
Yeah. All right. Here's one from Chris, the video producer. I don't know how he gets his questions answered here on this show, but we'll try. Traded Devin Singletary for George Pickens. How did I do? He needs our approval. For once, it's turned around, and now he needs our approval. Had Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, Ekeler, and Chubb in the weekly lineup, so traded Singletary for Pickens. I think it's a great trade.
Yeah, you don't need the running back for Singletary. George Pickens is on the ascend, so right. Yeah, I like it.
The Kenny Pickett rocket ship, baby. Woo! Let's go, Kenny Pickett. Speaking of rocket ships, have you seen our numbers on the YouTube channel? Absolutely huge. Look, I said that right as the YouTube thing goes right next to my face over there. YouTube, that's where all the kids are watching. That's where all the cool people are hanging out. Hang out with us. Be a subscriber. Like the stream. And when you do, guess what you can get? It's a Stephon Diggs jersey. That's right. We've got all the Stephon Diggs jerseys, and we're giving them all away. It's autographed. It's from pristine auction. It's authentic. It's glorious. So go get it for yourself. Drop a question or a comment here. Be a subscriber of the YouTube channel. Turn that bell on till it goes ding for notifications, so you know if you're the big winner, and so you know every time a piece of glorious content drops here on our channel. We are over 180,000 subscribers right now. Hopefully you're one of them. And 181. Pardon me, 181. I've been corrected just from this stream alone. I heard Stephon Diggs by himself has just this might be true, it might not. He is a subscriber now of the channel because we're giving away so many of his jerseys. He's just a big fan. So go, like the stream. Let's do it. Let's get to the next one here. Jose, with all the hype, should I trade away Jamaal Williams? Look, if you can get good value for Williams, I'm listening. That's how I look at Williams. What do you think about Jamaal Williams' trade value? I don't know how high it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of fizzled out. I think the hype was after the Seahawks game. I don't think you're going to get much for him because Swift is going to come back. So if anything, if you're a Swift owner, you should be trying to buy low on Jamaal Williams so you have both of them. That's probably what I would be doing.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to Mark B. Robinson, Latavius Murray, or Alec Pierce at the flex in the half PPR.
Well, you're not going to put Brian Robinson in your flex because it's Thursday, so you're going to put him in your RB2 spot. But if it has to be a flex play, I think I like Alec Pierce's upside. I think he's got some juice, man.
Yeah, 80-yard games back-to-back weeks. Zach Sprates. Trade Barkley and Juju for Breece Hall and Debo. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, that one is close because
it's just Barkley. Juju doesn't enter into
it.
It's Barkley for Hall and Debo, which is a pretty good return, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like Debo, I know we talked about him on the buy low, sell high. And I know that Welsh
was down
super high on Debo.
And he is the king of Debo Samuel. Like he is like the biggest fan there is.
Yeah, so that kind of opened my eyes a little bit to like, like maybe I shouldn't view Debo as like, this locked and loaded, like basically top 8 receiver every single week. Dude, Barkley is he's like that asset that you don't want to give up. And I do think it's fair. I mean, Breece Hall is also,
it's good value. I feel like I think if you're the Saquon Barkley manager, you are sitting on a time bomb in a
Yeah,
way. And
potentially.
it's
Yeah.
been so good. Like you're sitting, you're waiting and waiting, and you're waiting for it to explode at some point because you feel like it's going to. So this is that moment in time
Yeah.
where you've gotten a good 5 weeks out of him. Do you cash it in for Hall and Debo? If you want to cash it in, this is a good value, I think, for Saquon. I mean, maybe you can get a little bit more, but I don't know. Hall and Debo sounds about
Nah,
right to
I
me
mean,
for
I don't
Saquon.
think it's about like wanting more because it's like, what else are they going
It's
to
just whether
add?
or
Just
not you want to get rid
another.
of Barkley.
Yeah, and I think that based on the just fragility, injuries happening, the fact that you can kind of split up Barkley into then two players that are both very good.
Well, look, if
Less,
you're a 1-4 team and you need bodies, this is a great trade.
yeah.
Like,
If you
go
need to
try to
start
win
more
now.
guys, then yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
I think this is also record. Like, if you're a 5-0 team, maybe just keep Barkley and say, look, it's my premium
Yeah,
dude. If you're 2-3, 1-4, 0-5, you make this move.
yeah.
Brian Harris, Brees Hall, or Miles Sanders at the flex spot.
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall it is. Yeah, this is not close. Julian Williams. Who do I drop in half PPR? Naheem Hines, Antonio Gibson, Eno, Alec Pierce, or Garrett Wilson? Well, I'm not dropping Eno this week, and I'm not dropping Alec Pierce this week. You could drop Hines, as far as I'm concerned, or you want
Yeah,
to drop Gibson because he's a punt
I'm
returner.
I'm dropping Hines as like he hasn't done anything when he was healthy this year, and then one chance that he had a chance to do something, he got hurt. He may not even play this week, so I'm dumping Hines.
Where is Hines on the year, by the way, too? Do you know where
he's not up there.
If you had to guess, what would you guess? He is
RB 72.
All right. RB72. What says everybody else in the chat? You want to guess here? It's not even that bad. It's RB54.
Okay.
RB54 in half PPR. So
Oh,
see, he's not as bad as you think he is. He is actually, if you want to get depressed for a second, he is RB54. Cam Akers is RB56.
Classic.
So yeah. So remember that earlier question about starting Cam Akers or Mooney? That's why it's Mooney for me. As bad as Mooney is. Let's get to Dirt Diggler trade value of George Kittle.
I mean, I think that he's. I think he's probably. If you're asking me like a buy or sell, Kittle, I would rather buy because he's gonna put up basic tight end production, that everyone else does, the usual like 5 catches, 50 yards, whatever. But then we also know Kittle's gonna have a couple like 30-point weeks. Like he's going to like at least 1 or 2 this season. He's just too good of a player, and if I can get that added on to his just production for not that much, I think it makes sense to go trade for George Kittle. I mean, if I can package Taysom Hill. Go get George Kittle. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. I think buying is probably the right thing. So just sit on Kittle. Tight ends is terrible. Just if you have one that has any potential, just hold on and hope for the best. Nick Fournier, half PPR. Is Mixon for Kamara a decent trade if you have Chase?
I mean, I don't think it really matters to me if I have Chase or not.
Would you rather have Kamara or Mixon rest of season? This is the question.
I think I'd rather have Mixon. I mean, Mixon leads the NFL in touches. Like he's seeing a monster workload.
But he's not doing anything with them. It's like empty calories. It's like...
Right, but eventually, the touches are going to. I mean, the offense is good. Like, are the Bengals? Is the Bengals offense just going to kind of be all this year? I feel like it's going to start to turn around, just like it did last year. We started to see it turn a corner during the end of the season. So I'm going to stick with Mixon.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to Michael Mortensen. Wentz or Pickett in the Superflex? I think he's still got to start.
Yeah, I'm going with Wentz. I mean, you're just praying he doesn't get benched. That's the only way he fails.
Bench Carson Wentz for what? What's the alternative?
Sam Howell, baby. UNC.
Heineke again?
Oh,
you're not going to see him. No, you're not going to see him at all. He is buried. He's no good. I'm telling you right now, Howell's never going to see the light of day in the NFL. Trevor Dottie. Standard league, who do I start, boys? Chris Olave, Mike Williams, George Pickens, Jacoby Myers.
I mean, if Olave is healthy, I would probably start him
over Mike Williams.
I mean, he's the number one on his. Mike Williams is going to get Patrick Surtain. Like, that's he's going to get locked down.
You.
But I mean, because I like Olave. I mean, Olave is the number one wide receiver on that team. He's got a great matchup. So I would pick Olave if he's healthy, but I just don't think he's going to play. So I'd go with Mike Williams.
All right, Sam Fisher. I have Mike Evans and Godwin. Do I hold both or do I sell one? I have Amari Cooper and Lazard as backups. Look, what I would do is wait after this week and try to make that move. Right? Let's play them this week in this matchup. Then if Godwin has a great game, move to Godwin and keep Evans. That's what I would do here. What are your thoughts? Same thing?
Yeah,
or-
I mean, you don't want to. I mean, they're playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been
They've been
horrible.
dreadful.
I
Yeah.
wrote up earlier this week. Ready the cannons because they're going to score a lot of points for the Bucs wide receivers this week.
David Rex just has frustrations. Nobody in my league will trade. I can offer Mahomes and Tyreek Hill for Franco Harris and get rejected. Well, Franco Harris is a magnificent player, so he's a Hall of Famer. Those other two guys aren't in the Hall of Fame, so just saying. Any advice getting them to bite? Well, yeah, here's the thing. Now, David, don't be one of these people who writes trade essays. I hope you're not one of those people. A trade should speak for itself. Look to play for people's needs. Look at their bye weeks. Look at what they need right now. Look at their roster and put yourself in their situation and really think about their needs more than your wants. Sounds like a marriage, I know, but that's the secret to making good trades and to getting people to shake the trees a little bit. This is about the time where people start making trades as the bye weeks because people kind of get desperate or start to see opportunity for that, and patience is run thin. So I understand there's some leagues where trading just doesn't happen very much. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast. Erickson, any advice you can give here for David?
No, I think that's right. Looking at the team needs, and I think also too, if especially to get the ball moving, I think you're going to have to, quote unquote, lose the trade. Maybe you're giving up a little bit more face value, but things change so quickly from week to week in fantasy. So like we can talk about a trade this week, and then we
2 weeks ago, I traded Pittman for Rashad Bateman and Rashad Penny, and that has not worked out.
Right, exactly. So I think that, being more aggressive and maybe overpaying a little bit for players right now, I think we'll get the ball moving because honestly, in the retrospect of things, like the trades are either going to just look even and guys get hurt. So it's funny, people always ask me to grade trades and I'm like, well, do you want me to grade it now? You want me to grade it next week? Because it's going to be a different grade every single week I look at it because things just change so quickly. So that would be my advice. Don't worry about like, I have to get this value. And I would also check out the rest of season rankings over at FantasyPros that we all kind of input that can help give you an idea of where players should be valued as like a trade value chart.
Nice plug. Well done. Speaking of Fantasy Pros, don't forget about My Playbook too. My Playbook, the most powerful suite of tools. We've got it. Go to fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Go download the app from the Google or Apple store, any of the stores that sell you the apps. Go tap the app. Go do it. Get that My Playbook and fix what's going wrong. Let us help you. It's like Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. My Playbook. It helps you. It's what you want. Let's get to another question. Let's help more people. Let's help Kobe Jones. Actually, Mr. Finessa was first. Mr. Finessa, then Kobe Jones. You're next, Kobe. Mr. Finessa, trade Diggs for Higgins and Breece Hall. I don't want to trade Diggs, so I'm out. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep Diggs.
Kobe Jones, Jacoby Myers, or Devonta Smith this week?
I'm going with Devonta.
Finn Garvey, is DK Metcalf and Garrett Wilson for Joe Mixon and Rashad Bateman a good trade?
If I need a running back, then yeah.
I think it's a good trade anyway. I mean, Garrett Wilson is nothing anymore. He is nothing. Zach Wilson ruined him. Dave L., full PPR, London or Devonta Smith?
I still like London. I mean, he's seeing all the volume in that offense, and in full PPR, I think that gives him an edge.
Stud Field Mouse. How we feel about Dolphin wide receivers when every quarterback ends up in concussion. He says confusion protocol. I think he meant concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I'm in confusion protocol most times, most weeks by Thursday or Friday. So how do you feel about this situation here you don't like it. I know you are more willing to sit these guys than I am, but you're really concerned, I know.
I mean, their upside is capped, right? And why do we play wide receivers in the flex? For upside. So I guess for me, it's just like if I'm not in love with any of these waiver wire guys, I know we've talked about like George Pickens and those types of players. Like if you want to chase something a little bit upside, I don't think the Dolphins wide receivers are that. Like Waddle has been horrible the last 2 weeks. I think that Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver 2 at best, and Waddle's a wide receiver 3. So if you have better bench options, I mean, we're talking about Eno Benjamin like a RB2. I mean, I feel like Eno Benjamin, you could start over either of these guys, especially like Waddle. I mean, especially because Waddle hasn't been as productive. And Tyreek Hill was at least the number 1 target for Skylar Thompson last week. So you can at least kind of write home about that. I mean, Waddle had 3 targets last week. Not great.
Yeah. The ceiling is capped, and that's no cap. I used it right. My teenage daughters would be or preteen daughters would be so excited that I used that expression here on the show today. I'm going to tell them that I did, and they're going to go, all right, Josh Borges, start 2, Terry McLaurin, J.K. Dobbins, Raheem Mostert, Rondale Moore, or Christian Kirk in the standard. You got 2 spots for all these dudes.
I'm going to go with Christian Kirk and Raheem Mostert, who actually practiced today. So we're trending up. That's good.
Ooh, dodge the bullet there. Sean End, start Brian Robinson or Darrell Henderson, half PPR. It's Robinson.
Yeah, not starting Darrell Henderson.
Justin Sepulveda or Sepulveda. I don't want to say Justin Sepulveda. Dalton Schultz or Freiermuth rest of season. I mean, Dalton Schultz can't even get on the field. I mean,
yeah, it can't be Dalton Schultz. So I'm going with Freiermuth.
Yeah, it can't be. Oh, we have an update here too. I just want to take a look at this before because this might be. This is news. Jonathan Taylor returns to practice today.
Yes.
Well, look at that. Well, look at that. See, exciting things going on here in fantasy football week 6. Game Reaper, half PPR, pick 1 flex, Josh Kelly, Randall Cobb, DJ Dallas. Please help, gurus. I'm 1-4. Yeah, I can understand why, Gabe. This is a game. This is not a this is not a good spot to be here. Erickson, what do you want to do?
I'm going to go with Josh Kelly. I mean, he plays on a good offense, and he's getting red zone looks.
This is a 16-team league. What the hell's going on here? What? Or is your entire team made up of Lions and Titans? Oh, my.
And Raiders.
And Raiders. It's just Lions, Titans, and Raiders. That's all I got. Trevor Dudek, Noah Fant, or Dan Bellinger. Please, guys. Thanks. Hawk is on a bye. So Fant or Bellinger?
I'm starting Fant. Great matchup this week.
Anthony Vitale, would you trade Josh Jacobs and Devonta Smith for Joe Mixon?
No, because I think Josh Jacobs should be viewed similar to Joe Mixon. I mean, Josh Jacobs has been just on fire. He's seeing a ton of volume, catching a ton of passes, and the Raiders' offensive line sucks, and it doesn't even matter. So, no, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to just kind of move Devonta Smith just to get Mixon. So, I'll keep it.
Kyle Yu, I have Hopkins in Hollywood. Should I try to move one?
I think that makes sense if you want to kind of hit, because I don't think that both guys are going to be super productive, or at least Hollywood. So, I would try to trade whoever you can get the most back for.
Is there a world though where maybe that's like,
well, somebody has to suffer though,
right? But what if it's Hopkins? Like, what if it's Hopkins, and after all of this waiting and after all this, it's just Hollywood Brown's world now in that team?
Then
there's a range of outcomes.
Then I would trade Hopkins. But the thing is, like, if you held on to Hopkins this entire time and then you just trade him before he even played, like, is that what are people actually going to do that? Because I don't know. I didn't draft Hopkins for this exact reason, because I didn't think that he would be the same guy coming back. But so it's hard for me to like put myself in the shoes of people with Hopkins. But it's like, if I had Hopkins on a roster, I would try to trade him before he plays.
I would too, because I also think you can get more for him theoretically. And there's a range of outcomes, as Andrew loves the range of outcomes, that maybe, just maybe, Hopkins is lesser at this point.
Could you trade Hopkins to get Hollywood? No.
Well, I think he's saying he's got both of them. So he's trying to move one of them. That's what Kyle's trying to do.
So, yeah, I would probably try to move Hopkins then.
Yeah, everything's always rosy before somebody comes back from something, whether it's an injury or suspension. Everything's always at its peak value then. Alpha Cepheth. I don't know how many. It's just a bunch of A's and F's and S's. You guys got to do better with some of these names. Full PPR, Judy or McLaurin?
McLaurin.
All right. Michael V, London, Sutton, or Myers in the Standard League. Pick 2.
Sutton in London for me.
Sutton in London. Rahman, drop Zay Jones to pick up Alec Pierce in half PPR. I approve this message.
Yep.
Yes, let's do it. There you go. Excellent stuff here. Make sure if you have more questions, you can always hit us up on the Twitter machine too. We're always there. We're always here. We're going to be back again on Sunday. Don't forget, for the Sunday live stream, we're going to be here starting at 10:30 Eastern, 90 straight minutes of fantasy football questions. It's going to be myself. It's you again, isn't it, Erickson? It's you and me on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ready to rock and roll.
And another hour after that. Who's in the hour after that after us? Oh, Tara's going to be. Thank goodness. Tara's going to be back too for another hour. So after we're done for 90 minutes, Tara Roberts is going to take you. So it's another 2.5 hour Sunday fantasy football extravaganza answering your questions. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss it, because you might be sitting around there on Sunday morning. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot about it. That's why you click the bell for notifications. Like the stream on the way out. We appreciate all of you who are hanging with us, talking football. We hope we gave you a fun little hour here to take your mind off some other things, maybe off work, other stress. Football is fun. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, and it's always fun to have all of you here with us, so we appreciate you. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Fantasy Pros, so you can get the latest news and updates to